India is a very entrepreneurial country. What India is not is a resource-rich country, especially commodities. We import most of them. And just to remind you, India imports 80% of its crude oil needs, which is by far our most expensive import item and drains our budget, not to mention our foreign exchange reserves, as well as plays havoc on our fiscal deficit. And just for the sake of comparison, Russia has it pretty easy that way. Their entire economy runs on export of commodities. As one US president put it, Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country. So, sticking with our entrepreneurial talents, the BJP has decided the best way to offset this massive requirement of oil is to substitute it. See, crude oil is refined into petrol and diesel, which as you all know is primarily, but not necessarily, used mostly in the transport sector. You know, cars, buses, trucks, bikes, trains, and even diesel generators. So just imagine, even if part of this petrol or diesel substituted by ethanol, the savings will be massive. And not to mention, our environment will also benefit big time. Keeping this in mind, our government in 2018 notified the National Policy on Biofuels, which sets a target of blending 20% of ethanol with petrol by 2030. They're also coming up with one for diesel soon. However, this BJP government has been pushing so hard that this target was advanced to 2025. Can you imagine? When was the last time you heard of a major target like that getting completed before time? Not only that, we also had a mini target to blend 10% ethanol by November 2022, which was achieved 5 months ahead of time. And our Prime Minister announced it in June on World Environment Day. This mini target helped us save 42,000 crores in foreign exchange, which we would have paid to import crude oil wanted for ethanol. Now, you might say, why is all this mixing ethanol necessary? Why can't we just put all our resources behind renewable energy instead? You know, solar, wind, electric vehicles, etc. Because to change our entire ecosystem to renewable energy is a very slow process, costs a bomb, and takes up a lot of resources. But India is working towards it. Our ethanol policy is just acting as a bridge to immediately substitute for petrol or diesel until we can switch over to renewables. So for now, it's more feasible. Also, India is lucky in the sense that we have Brazil as an example. Brazil is a pioneer of biofuel use and has an active program for over 30 years. It's the world leader in terms of technology and usage of ethanol. So we can learn from their trials and errors. But what exactly is ethanol and how is it made? Ethanol is a renewable fuel or biofuel made from byproducts of mainly sugarcane in India, but also from other crops such as corn, maize, rice, etc. There are different types of ethanol and it's used in personal care products, household products, and even food products. But for the sake of our conversation, let's stick to the variety used in fuel. So, ethanol mixed with petrol or diesel emits less greenhouse gases that harm our environment, and because we can produce ethanol in India, it saves on our import bill of crude oil to that extent. Not only that, farmers benefit too. Instead of throwing away or burning the wastage and byproducts of their crops, they can sell it to distilleries that produce ethanol, giving them a side income. Believe me, it's a win-win situation for everyone. Do you know how much farmland we have in states like UP and Maharashtra dedicated to growing sugarcane? It's massive. And government policy is really favoring ethanol production. Just recently, they said that now not only sugarcane but also starchy food crops like potatoes, corn, wheat, rice, etc. can be used to produce ethanol. Also, our Transport Minister Shri Nitingadkari is very upbeat, instructing all big sugar manufacturing companies to cut down on production of sugar and instead use sugarcane to manufacture more and more ethanol. He's also promoting flex fuel engines in a big way. Means he's telling car companies to make components and engines that run efficiently on a higher mixture of ethanol. It's all coming together. But there's one problem. See, sugarcane requires a huge amount of water to cultivate. And India as a country has 18% of the world's population, but only 4% of the world's water resources. So we're a water-starved country. So I'm not sure how sustainable it would be to grow sugarcane in such a big way. And that's why the government in its latest policy is encouraging the use of starchy crops to produce ethanol. So they're working on the problem. Alright, now that we're aware of ethanol, let's dive into a company that's all set to benefit from this super trend. Firstly, there are few listed companies in the sugar sector that have distilleries that produce ethanol. So keep an eye out for Triveni Engineering, Dhampur Sugar and Balrampur Chini, which are my favorite among the sugar/ethanol manufacturers. There's also another small cap company called BCL Industries, not in the sugar sector, which has around 33% as ethanol distillery business. But the rockstar and my personal favorite is Praj Industries. This Pune-based company is a bioenergy and engineering company. They don't produce ethanol themselves, but instead manufacture distillation and fermentation equipment for production of ethanol. That's their main business. But they also manufacture equipment used for breweries, wastewater treatment, and high purity water. So they're a full-on bioengineering company. They have a first mover advantage in this field and have a dominant 2/3 market share as well. It goes without saying that they have bagged multiple orders and their revenue pipeline looks very strong. A back of the envelope calculation tells us that to achieve the target of blending 20% ethanol with petrol by 2025, an additional capacity of more than 1 lakh liters of ethanol will be required. To produce this much, an investment of 10 to 12,000 crores in distillery equipment will be needed. And Praj, which has 2/3 market share, will see orders of 7 to 8,000 crores in the next few years. And that's just from this business. Remember, they have other verticals as well. And now they're trying to blend ethanol with diesel too, which has a much bigger market and can cater to the Indian railways, diesel generators, in addition to the transport sector. Talking about financials, the revenue or sales growth and profit growth of Praj over the last few years is not good. It's pretty much remained stagnant, and so has its margins. Its return ratios, return on equity and return on capital employed, are nothing to write home about either. But that's all set to change. If we compare its financials in the last 2 years, it makes for a completely different reading. Sales have gone up from 1,305 crores to 2,333 crores. Profit has gone up from 81 crores to 150 crores. And even its ROC, that was 15% last year, is 23% this year. Its margins have also improved, but not by much. The cherry on the cake is that Praj is a debt-free company and is also a dividend-paying stock. And our final point of discussion is valuations. Its share price hit a low of 43 in the depths of the pandemic in March 2020 and is now hovering around the 440 rupees mark. That's a 10-fold increase in about 2 years. But even now, with a P ratio of close to 45 times, which is slightly on the high side, considering how much potential it has, it's still a good buy, although in a staggered manner and not all at once. And just in case I haven't mentioned, Praj is a small cap company with market value of just 7,800 crores. Such companies have massive potential of growth from a small base.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.